She had 3 seconds to make a choice. Let the Korean mafia boss die at his own wedding, killed by the woman he trusted, or pull the trigger and make herself a target for every crook in Seoul. Regina's palm was already steady on the revolver because of muscle memory from a life she had buried. She walked out from behind the service curtain. The guards rushed for their guns. Lopez's gorgeous smile stopped in the middle of a laugh. The string quartet reached its peak, and Regina did the one thing that a waitress should never do. She shot. Hey family, before I start telling this story, I need you to do something. Please leave a comment below and let me know where you are watching from. Your comments feed these stories. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because what occurs next will leave you stunned. This is a story of 2 people who saved each other by destroying everything they knew. Let's dive in. The bullet shattered the image of perfection. Lopez staggered backward, holding her shoulder, white wedding dress bursting scarlet like a twisted flower. The ceramic dagger she'd been concealing clattered on the marble floor. The poison-tipped needle rolled from her bouquet, glinting under the chandelier light. The ballroom burst into anarchy. Screams tore across the air. Crystal glasses exploded upon the floor. Armed men, killers dressed in $1,000 suits, pulled firearms with practiced precision, barrels pointed on Regina from every aspect. Women in beautiful gowns scattered like startled birds, their jewels catching the light as they ran. Lee Pyo did not move. He stood transfixed at the altar, tall and poised in his black tuxedo, the dragon tattoo on his neck seeming to writhe in the flickering light. His dark eyes focused upon Regina with an intensity that should have murdered her where she stood. The most deadly guy in Seoul, and suddenly, absolutely still. The shooting had lasted a fraction of a second, but in that instant, Regina felt the full weight of what she'd done fall into her chest like a freight train. She had just revealed herself. After 3 years of hiding, of being invisible, of washing floors and serving champagne to guys who would have recognized her face if they'd looked close enough, she had just declared to the entire Korean underground that she was here, that she was alive, that she was the ghost sharpshooter who'd gone from the worldwide alliance. And worse, she'd just made herself important to the one man who could either protect her or kill her. As Regina stood there, gun still raised, smoke rising from the barrel, she caught Lee Pyo's eyes. She needed to see something, anything, that reassured her she hadn't just sold 3 years of survival for a bullet to the skull. She had a weapon. Regina's voice pierced through the noise, crisp and clear, despite the trembling she couldn't quite cover. She kicked the porcelain dagger across the floor toward Lee Pyo's feet. The bride, she was going to kill you during the first dance. Lopez, gripping her injured shoulder, let forth a sound between a sob and a snarl. She's lying. She's nuts. Pyo, she just shot me. The needle, Regina interrupted, her voice increasing intensity. Check the needle. It's coated with tetrodotoxin. Paralysis in 30 seconds. Death in 5 minutes. Just long enough for you to collapse during the dance. Just long enough for her to play the devastated widow. Silence crashed over the room like a wave. Lee Pyo's gaze went slowly, carefully from Regina to the needle on the floor. One of his lieutenants, a scarred man with silver in his hair, crouched and studied it without touching. His face grew pale. Boss, the man murmured quietly. She's right. This is venom. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Lee Pyo's eyes switched back to Lopez, and for the first time since the shot, he moved. One step forward, then another. His footsteps echoed in the cavernous ballroom like a judge's gavel. Pyo, I can explain. Lopez started, backing away, her face a mask of dread beneath the blood and makeup. Explain. His voice sounded gentle, deadly. Explain why you concealed a handgun during our wedding. Explain why you brought poison into my home. She planted it. That waitress, she's attempting to frame me. Enough. The single word silenced her. Lee Pyo turned, his black gaze searching the still audience. Armed men, politicians on his payroll, rival bosses who'd come to pay respects, all of them watching, waiting to see what the Ghost King would do. He lifted one hand. Everyone out. The wedding is over. Murmurs erupted instantly. Protest, confusion, horror. But no one argued. Not when Lee Pyo's voice conveyed that particular sharpness. Not while his hand was resting comfortably on the revolver at his hip. Within minutes, the ballroom began to empty. Guests rushed through side doors in the main entrance, guards ushering them out with merciless efficiency. Lopez was dragged away by 2 of Pyo's men, her shouts ringing down the corridor until a door slammed shut and cut them off. Regina was stuck in the heart of it all, the gun heavy in her grasp, her waitress uniform spattered in Lopez's blood. Her legs trembled, her pulse boomed in her ears like ocean waves. She had done it. She had saved him. Whether she survived what came next was no longer in her control. 2 of Lee Pyo's soldiers came at her sides, silent, efficient, menacing in their blank expressions. They didn't speak, didn't touch her, just waved down a side passage, with the distinct understanding that rejection wasn't an option. Regina let the rifle fall from her hand. It clattered to the marble, and she followed them. They carried her through a maze of corridors, past paintings worth more than she'd earn in a lifetime, past rooms with closed doors where she could hear muffled voices and desperate wailing. The compound was a fortress, disguised as a palace, and she was marching deeper into its core with every step. Finally, they reached a door. Steel. No windows. One of the men unlocked it and waved inside. The room was small, concrete walls, a solitary metal table, 2 chairs, cold fluorescent lighting that made everything look washed out and clinical. An interrogation chamber. Regina walked inside gently, her heart thumping between her ribs. The door closed behind her with a harsh click. The lock turned. She was alone. She sat down in the chair facing the door, folding her hands in her lap to keep them from shaking. Her mind raced, repeating everything. The talk she'd overheard in the kitchen corridor 2 hours before. Lopez's frigid laughter, the way she'd stated, after the vows, during the first dance, it has to look natural. Regina had been refilling champagne glasses in the service hallway when she'd heard it. She should have run, should have disappeared like she'd done a dozen times before, when danger got too close. But then she'd thought about Lee Pio, the guy the entire underworld nicknamed the Ghost King, the boss who'd publicly condemned unnecessary civilian murders, who'd executed members in his own organization for crossing borders others overlooked. He didn't deserve to die like this. Poisoned by the woman he trusted. Betrayed in front of everyone. Regina swallowed hard. She would make the same choice again. The door opened. Lee Pio stepped inside alone. He closed the door behind him and locked it himself. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the small space. Regina stood up instantly, chair scraping against concrete. "I can explain. Sit," he said. Something in his voice made her obey, without thinking. Not fear, exactly. Something deeper. Command that didn't need volume to be absolute. He didn't sit right away. Instead, he walked to the table and placed something down carefully between them. The ceramic dagger. The needle. A small recording device. Regina's breath caught. "I examined them," Lee Pio continued, his voice steady, controlled. "The dagger was manufactured to pass through metal detectors. The needle contains enough tetrodotoxin to kill a horse. And this," he tapped the recording device, "was found sewed inside Lopez's bouquet. A remote trigger. She was intending to trigger it during the dance, to create a distraction while the poison worked." Silence stretched between them, tense as a wire. Then he said, "You saved my life." "I know," Regina whispered. His eyes, dark, inscrutable, old despite his youth, steadied her. Not like a criminal, not like prey, like a man trying to solve an equation that didn't add up. "You planned this," he said. "No," Regina answered hastily. "I swear I didn't plan the shoot. I overheard her in the kitchen corridor 2 hours ago. I heard her talking to someone on the phone, about the poison, about the timing, about inheriting your empire. I panicked." "You didn't panic," he amended, a small edge of something. Respect? Entering his voice. "Your shot was center mass. Non-lethal, but incapacitating. That's not panic. That's training." Regina's blood turned to ice. He knew. "Who are you?" Lee Pio asked, leaning forward slightly. "And don't tell me you're just a waitress. Waitresses don't shoot like that." She met his eyes, and for the first time in 3 years, she made a choice that terrified her more than any bullet. She told the truth. "My name is Regina," she said gently. "And you're right. I'm not just a waiter. I used to be someone else. Someone dangerous. I left that life 3 years ago, and I've been hiding ever since. Tonight, I witnessed someone poised to die the way too many people I cared about have died. Betrayed, poisoned, alone, and I couldn't let it happen. Not if I could stop it." Lee Pio was silent for a long while. Then he said, "You just exposed yourself to save a stranger." "You're not a stranger," Regina exclaimed before she could stop herself. "Everyone knows who you are. The Ghost King. The man who draws lines others won't. The boss who murdered his own men for killing a citizen in a gambling debt dispute 3 years ago." Something flared across his face. "Surprise, maybe. Or recognition. You know about that," he said. "Everyone knows about that," Regina said. "It's why some people fear you, and others respect you. You're not like the others. You have rules, lines you won't cross. And that matters to you?" "It mattered tonight," she stated simply. "It mattered enough to risk my life." Lee Pio sat back in his chair, observing her with an intensity that made her feel transparent. Like he could see every scar, every secret, every horror she'd spent 3 years escaping from. Finally he spoke. "You're either very brave, he remarked, or very foolish. Regina managed a hesitant smile. Can't I be both? The corner of his mouth twitched, not quite a smile, but near. Tell me, he continued, his voice lowering lower, more menacing. Who are you running from? Who trained you to shoot like that? And why did you believe fleeing into my realm, of all places, would keep you safe? Regina's throat clenched. I wasn't attempting to hide in your world. I was trying to hide from everyone. I took jobs nobody looks at. Waitressing, cleaning, delivery labor. I relocated every 3 months. Changed my appearance. Stayed invisible. Until tonight. Until tonight, she agreed. And now? Lee Pio asked. Now you've shot a gun in front of 200 people. Now every criminal in Seoul knows your face. Now anyone you were running from knows exactly where you are. Fear surged through her chest, piercing and icy. He was right. She'd saved his life, but she'd just destroyed her own. I know, she whispered. I know what I did. I know what it cost. Lee Pio stood, and for a heart-stopping minute, Regina feared he was going to walk out and leave her stuck in this room to wait for whatever came next. Instead, he offered his hand. Come with me, he said. Regina gazed at his hand, scarred knuckles, a ring with a dragon emblem, strength that could crush or defend. Where? She asked. Somewhere safe, he said. You saved my life tonight, Regina. Now I'm going to save yours. She took his hand. His hold was warm, firm, anchoring. And as he walked her out of the interrogation room, along passageways that seemed less like a jail and more like a sanctuary, Regina understood something that should have horrified her. She trusted him. After 3 years of trusting no one, of being invisible and alone, she was choosing to trust the most dangerous man in Seoul. Behind them, in the ballroom, glass crunched under the feet of cleaning personnel. Blood covered the marble where Lopez had landed. The beautiful wedding had become a crime scene. But ahead, in the darkness of the compound, something new was beginning. A collaboration, a protection, a relationship born amid bullets and truth. And neither of them understood yet if it would save them or ruin them both. If you were Regina, would you have pulled the trigger or stayed invisible and lived? Would you call Regina a hero or a traitor? Decide in the comments, because her future is already being written. Before we continue, hit subscribe, like this video, and tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching from. I believe this story found you today for a reason. The room they carried her to was darker than the first. No windows, no table, just a chair nailed to the concrete floor, and zip ties biting into her wrists, so hard her fingers were becoming numb. Regina's head throbbed where one of the guards had thrown her against the wall. Her lip was split, copper flooding her mouth. The waitress uniform was torn at the shoulder, splattered with Lopez's blood and her own. 3 men stood in a semicircle around her, silent, watching. The scarred lieutenant from the ballroom gripped a knife, rotating it gently so the blade caught the light. Who sent you? He asked for the 3rd time. No one, Regina answered hoarsely. I told you. The smack came fast. Her head snapped sideways, stars erupting behind her eyes. Wrong answer. Professional shot. Center mass. Non-lethal yet perfectly placed. That's not luck. That's training. Regina tasted blood. I was trying to save him. Convenient narrative. You plant the weapons. Shoot her. Play the hero. Get close to the boss. Then what? The door opened. Every man became rigid. Lee Pio stepped inside. His gaze went right to Regina. The bruise forming on her cheek, the blood on her lip, the zip ties digging into her wrists. Something ominous flickered over his features. Out, he replied gently. Boss, we were just... Now, the men escaped. Lee Pio crossed the room gently, crouched in front of her chair so they were eye level. Up close, she could see the fatigue in his cheeks, the dragon tattoo vanishing beneath his collar. He took a knife from his belt. Regina flinched, but he effortlessly sliced through the zip ties with one fast stroke. They fell away, leaving furious red lines circling her wrists. They shouldn't have touched you, he continued, not an apology. A statement. Regina stroked her wrists. They think I'm here to kill you. Are you? If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. I had the gun. I had the shot. I chose to save you. Why? The question came out strong, real. Why save a man you don't know? Regina's throat clenched. For a moment she was back in another room, 3 years ago, watching her training partner bleed dead while she stood transfixed, too terrified to move, too damaged to help. Because I know what it's like to watch someone you love die and do nothing, she whimpered. I couldn't do nothing twice.
The words hovered between them. Lee Pio went extremely still. His eyes probed her face, and she recognized familiarity. Understanding. The gaze of someone who'd stood in the same horror. Who did you lose? he inquired quietly. Someone who trusted me to defend them. I failed. His jaw stiffened. I know that feeling. They stared at each other. Two people bearing ghosts no one else could see. Finally, Lee Pio stood. You're not a prisoner. But you're not leaving either. Not until I know who you're running from. He extended his hand. When she took it, something shifted. A friendship formed on shared failure. Mutual remorse. Come on, he urged. Let's get you cleaned up. Then we chat. As he led her out, Regina understood she wasn't headed toward prison. She was headed toward the first ally she'd had in 3 years. The call came at 3 a.m. Regina was in the East Wing guest room. Lee Pio had allocated her. Luxury she couldn't absorb. Silk bedding she was too terrified to wrinkle. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Lopez falling, the red blossoms spreading across white fabric. Then Lee Pio's lieutenant knocked. The hospital phoned. There's been a complication. The words didn't make sense at first. Then they did, and Regina's world tilted sideways. Lopez had been pregnant. Had been. Past tense. The automobile ride to the private hospital was silent. Lee Pio sat across from her in the back seat, his visage chiseled from stone. He didn't speak, didn't glance at her, just glanced out the window at Seoul's neon-soaked streets, speeding past. Regina's hands wouldn't quit shaking. At the hospital, a doctor in blood-spattered scrubs welcomed them in a private corridor. We did everything we could. The gunshot didn't damage any major organs, but the stress, the blood loss, she miscarried. I'm sorry. Lee Pio's expression didn't change. And Lopez, stable, sedated. She'll survive. Regina heard the words from somewhere far away, like she was underwater. A baby. There had been a baby. Lopez was going to kill Lee Pio. Yeah, but there had been a baby, and Regina had. She made it to the bathroom before her legs gave out. She dropped in front of the sink, turned on the water, and started scrubbing her hands. Cold water, soap, scrubbing harder.
The blood was gone. She'd showered hours ago, but she could still feel it, sticky and warm, coating her flesh like guilt made palpable. She cleaned till her hands were raw. Until the soap burnt. Until her vision blurred with tears she couldn't hold back anymore. I killed a baby, she muttered to her mirror. I killed an innocent. The bathroom door opened. Lee Pio walked inside, closed it behind him. He didn't ask permission, didn't announce himself, just traversed the area between them and shut off the water. Regina's hands were glowing red, quivering wildly under the fluorescent lights. I didn't know, she choked out. I promise I didn't know she was pregnant. I wouldn't have. I never would have. Lee Pio said nothing. He just took her into his chest and held her until she broke. She cried into his shirt, loud, ugly, the kind of crying that came from somewhere primitive. 3 years of holding everything in, and it all came gushing out in a hospital bathroom at 4 a.m., while the man she'd saved hugged her like she was something valuable, instead of something monster. He didn't offer empty comfort, didn't tell her it wasn't her fault, didn't say the things people say when they're attempting to make suffering smaller. He just held her, and somehow, that was enough. Hours later, once the sun dawned and the inquiry began, Lee Pio's men found something in Lopez's hospital luggage. A silicone prosthetic belly, fake ultrasound photographs, a thorough plan written in her handwriting. Make him believe, make him hope, make it pain harder when he dies, knowing his child perished with him. There had never been a baby. Regina sat in Lee Pio's office when they told her, staring at the evidence scattered across his desk. Relief rushed through her so powerfully she felt nauseous. No infant had died. No innocent life had been. But then the horror followed, harsh and icy. She was grateful, grateful that an innocent hadn't existed to be killed. Grateful that her bullet had just wounded a murderer, not ended a life that hadn't chosen any of this. What type of person felt grateful about something like that? You're thinking too loud, Lee Pio replied from behind his desk. Regina gazed up at him. I'm relieved. A child didn't die because of me, and I'm relieved. That makes me human, he interrupted gently. It makes you human. Their eyes met across the desk, and something moved again. The way he stared at her now wasn't skepticism anymore. It was something else. Something that felt uncomfortably close to protection. She's a monster, Regina murmured. Who fakes a pregnancy to make a murder hurt more? Lee Pio's jaw stiffened. Someone who wants to ruin me from the inside out. Someone who almost succeeded. He walked around the desk, and crouched in front of Regina's chair the way he had in the interrogation room. You saved my life, he remarked, and you've been punishing yourself for it ever since. Stop. I can't. Then I'll help you. His palm enveloped hers. Warm, solid, anchoring. You're not alone in this anymore. Whatever comes next, we confront it together. Understand? Regina nodded, not trusting her voice. and for the first time since she'd pulled that trigger, she believed she might survive what she'd set in motion. Lee Pio went Regina to visit Lopez 3 days after the bogus pregnancy was disclosed. Why? Regina asked as they proceeded past the hospital's exclusive wing, security flanking them on both sides. Because she asked for you, Lee Pio remarked. Specifically, and I want to know why. Lopez sat propped against cushions, shackled to the bed rail. Her shoulder was bandaged, her face pallid without makeup, but her eyes burned with something dark and unrelenting. She grinned when she spotted Regina. The hero returns. I'm not a hero, Regina remarked gently. No, you're just a widow who got trapped in a battle she doesn't comprehend. Lopez's smile turned into something sour. Tell me, Regina, did you ever wonder why your hubby died? Regina's blood went cold. How do you know about your husband? About the execution 3 years ago? About the gambling debts and the bullet in an alley? Lopez laughed, the sound loud and jagged. Because my brother pulled the trigger. The earth tilted. Regina grasped the side of the bed to support herself. What? My baby brother, 22 years old. Stupid, irresponsible, following orders from men who should have known better. Lopez's eyes glistened with unshed tears. He killed your husband because someone had to collect on those debts. And 3 days later, Lee Pio had him executed in the street like a dog. Regina turned to Lee Pio. His expression was stone, but she saw confirmation in his eyes. You, Regina's voice broke. You killed her brother? I executed 3 men for killing a civilian over gambling debts, Lee Pio said evenly. I didn't realize one of them had a sister. I didn't know your husband had a wife. Lopez's handcuffs shook as she leaned forward. He made an example of them. Called it justice. Said innocent blood wouldn't be accepted in his city. But my brother wasn't a monster. He was just a youngster who didn't know how to say no. He killed my husband, Regina whispered. And this man killed my brother. Lopez's voice cracked, so I resolved to make him love me. Trust me. Build a future with me. I wanted him to feel hope before I took everything, the same way he took everything from me when he placed a bullet in my brother's head. The room fell silent, save for the beeping of monitors. Regina's thoughts raced, connecting parts that made her sick. Her spouse died because of Lopez's brother. Lopez's brother perished because of Lee Pio's justice. Lopez tried to kill Lee Pio because of that execution. And Regina had saved Lee Pio, completing a circle of violence that had began with her own sorrow. You see it now, don't you? Lopez said quietly. You're not some innocent bystander. You're part of this. Your husband's death set everything in motion. His debts, my brother's orders, Pio's execution, my retribution, your bullet. We're all just links in a chain we didn't forge. Regina felt tears flowing down her face. He was just trying to survive. My husband, he committed mistakes, but he didn't deserve. And my brother was just following orders. He didn't deserve to die in the street as strangers watched. Lopez's voice broke, but he did. Because your husband, she pointed at Lee Pio, decided who gets mercy and who gets bullets. Lee Pio's jaw stiffened. Your brother and his crew killed an unarmed man over money. I don't apologize for terminating that. I'm not asking for an apology, Lopez yelled. I'm asking you to understand that your justice destroyed me the same way my brother destroyed her. She looked at Regina. We're the same, you and I. Both of us lost someone. Both of us watched them die because of the decisions men like him make. No, Regina responded, her voice stronger now. We're not the same. You chose revenge. You faked a pregnancy. You were going to slaughter him in front of everyone and call it love. And you shot me to save the man who ordered your husband's killer to act. Lopez smiled coldly. Tell me, Regina, if you'd known that connection before you pulled the trigger, would you still have saved him? The question hovered in the air like smoke. Regina stared at Lee Pio, at the tiredness in his eyes, the weight he bore, the lines he'd drawn that had cost so many people so much. Then she looked back at Lopez. Yes, Regina answered gently. Because revenge doesn't bring them back. It merely makes more ghosts. Lopez laughed, a broken, hollow sound. Then you're a better person than I am. Or a more idiotic one. As the soldiers walked them out, Regina felt Lee Pio's hand locate hers. Neither of them spoke. What was there to say? They were both accountable for deaths they'd never meant to commit, connected together by blood neither of them had wanted to spill. Before we go any further, answer this honestly. If you discovered the man who saved you was also responsible for destroying your past, would you stay or walk away forever? Tell me in the comments. What Regina chooses next will change everything. Before we continue, hit subscribe, like this video, and tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching from. I believe this story found you today for a reason. Lee Pio drove them out of the city at morning. While Seoul was still covered in fog and solitude, Regina didn't inquire where they were headed. She just watched the skyscrapers give way to hills, then mountains, then a small cemetery hidden into a valley where cherry blossoms had started to fall. He parked beside a grave at the edge of the grounds, simple stone, fresh flowers that someone, Lee Pio, she realized, had placed recently. Lee Min-jun, Regina read the name aloud. Your brother. He was 19 when they took him, Lee Pio remarked, his voice lifeless. A rival gang. They sought leverage over me, so they kidnapped the one person I genuinely loved. Regina sat mute, understanding this was a narrative that needed to be told without interruption. They held him for 3 days, tortured him. Lee Pio's hands tightened into fists. When I eventually discovered him, when my troops attacked their compound, he was scarcely recognizable. They'd broken him in ways that couldn't be healed. The morning air felt too cold abruptly. He begged me, Lee Pio began, his voice cracking for the first time since she'd met him. He gazed at me with what was left of his eyes and asked me to make it stop. He was 19 years old, and he was begging his older brother to kill him. Regina's hand rushed to her lips. So I did. Lee Pio looked at the tomb, unseeing. I held him, and I terminated it. Because I loved him too much to let him suffer. And I've despised myself every day since. Tears poured down Regina's face. She understood now. The executions. The rules about civilian deaths. The empire established on the notion that senseless violence must end. You thought if you could stop others from dying the way he did, it would mean something, she muttered. I thought a lot of things. Lee Pio turned to face her. I felt if I executed the men who killed your spouse, I was establishing something better. I felt if I married Lopez, if we had a child, I could safeguard something pure, and it would erase what I did to Min-jun. That's why the nursery, Regina replied, comprehension flowing through her. That's why the nursery. His laugh was harsh. I built a room full of hope for a child that never existed. Painted the walls, assembled the crib, read parenting books like, I may grow to be someone worthy of protecting innocence. Lee Pio. I failed my brother. I failed to see Lopez for what she was. I failed at everything that mattered. He glanced at her with eyes full of ghosts. Except you. You saw the truth when I was blind. You risked everything when you had every reason to stay concealed. Regina came forward, close enough to feel the heat of him in the cool morning air. You don't need redemption, she continued, her voice furious. You need forgiveness. Starting with yourself. Your brother wanted you to relieve his misery because he trusted you. Because he loved you. That wasn't failure. That was the hardest type of love. Something snapped in Lee Pio's look. His shoulders dropped, and for a moment he seemed less like the Ghost King, and more like a man who'd been lugging a mountain for 5 years. I don't know how to forgive myself, he remarked quietly. Then let me help you, Regina whispered. The way you're helping me. They stood there in the cemetery, 2 people haunted by the dead, and something moved between them. The air felt charged, electric, like the moment before lightning hits. I have a proposal, Lee Pio replied finally. A contract, marriage. Regina's breath caught. Not for appearances, he continued hurriedly. Not for politics or protection, or any of the practical reasons my counsel will claim. But because, he stopped, looking for words. Because I think we're the only 2 individuals who understand each other. We've both failed individuals we loved. We both carry ghosts. We both know what it costs to stay breathing, when half of you perished years ago. That's the saddest marriage proposal I've ever heard, Regina replied, but she was smiling through her tears. It's honest. Lee Pio stretched for her hand. I can't promise you a regular existence. I can't promise you safety or tranquility or any of the things you deserve. But I can promise you this, you'll never be invisible again. You'll never face your history alone. And I'll spend every day striving to be worthy of the life you saved. Regina stared at their clasped hands, at the tomb behind him, at the mountains rising in the distance. Yes, she responded simply. His eyes expanded. Yes? Yes. Not because I need protection. Not because I'm terrified. But because you're right. We understand each other. And maybe 2 broken people can build something whole. Lee Pio pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. Thank you, he muttered. For what? For seeing me. Not the boss. Not the monster. Just me. They stood like that, as the sun rose over the mountains, warming the cemetery where Lee Pio's brother rested, and where, in a way, both of them laid their ghosts down just long enough to breathe. Lee Pio found the connection on a Tuesday. He'd spent a week digging through old files, cross-referencing names, tracing money trails that led nowhere and everywhere at once. His men thought he was investigating Lopez's network. He let them think that, but he was actually investigating Regina's husband. The file sat on his desk now, damning and complete. Bank records, witness statements, A confession extracted from Mr. Kang's former accountant, who turned informant to avoid prison. Lee Pio stared at the pages, debating. He could burn them, bury the truth so deep it would never surface. Let Regina keep her grief intact, her memories untarnished. But lies were what got them here. Lies and secrets and half-truths that festered until they exploded. She deserved the truth, even if it destroyed her. He found Regina in the library, curled in a chair by the window, reading. She looked up when he entered, and her smile faded when she saw his face. "What's wrong?" Lee Pio set the file on the table between them. "I found something. About your husband." Her body went rigid. "What kind of something?" "The kind that changes everything." He sat across from her. "You told me he had gambling debts. That he was killed over money he owed." "Yes. What you didn't know, what no one told you, was who he owed, or what he did to try to pay it back." Regina's hands trembled as she reached for the file. "Lee Pio, what did you find?" "He owed 200 million won to Mr. Kang. When he couldn't pay, Kang offered him a deal, sell information instead. Troop movements, safe house locations, names of people under my protection." The color drained from Regina's face. "One piece of intelligence he sold." Lee Pio's voice cracked, despite his control. "It was the location where my brother was staying. Hidden, protected, until your husband gave Mr. Kang the address." "No." Regina's whisper was barely audible. "The rival gang bought the information from Kang. They raided the safe house. They took Minjun because your husband was desperate and drowning and sold a 19-year-old boy's location for 50 million won." Regina opened the file with shaking hands. Bank transfers. Dates that lined up too perfectly. A confession in her husband's handwriting, found in Kang's records. "I gave them the address." "God forgive me, I gave them the address." "He knew," Regina breathed. "He knew someone would get hurt. He knew." Lee Pio watched her face crumble, watched her entire world collapse in real time. "When Lopez's brother came to collect on the remaining debt and your husband couldn't pay, they killed him. Then I executed Lopez's brother for it. Everyone in this story destroyed someone else." Regina's hands covered her mouth. Tears streamed between her fingers. "I mourned a man who got your brother tortured to death. I wore black for a year. I spoke at his funeral about how good he was, how much he loved me, how the world was crueler for losing him. Regina, I built my entire grief around a lie." Her voice rose, breaking. "I've been running for 3 years from the people who killed my husband, and he's the reason your brother died. He's the reason you had to." She couldn't finish, sobs choking her words. Lee Pio moved without thinking, crossing the space and pulling her into his arms. She fought him for a moment, fists pounding weakly against his chest, but then she collapsed into him and wept. "I'm sorry," she gasped. "I'm so sorry. He destroyed your brother, and I didn't know, and I'm so—" "Stop." Lee Pio's voice was rough. "You didn't know. You loved who you thought he was. That love was real, even if he wasn't. How can you?" She looked up at him, devastated. "How can you hold me when my husband is the reason Minjun died? Because you're not responsible for his choices." Lee Pio wiped tears from her cheeks with his thumbs. "Because you've been carrying guilt for his death, when you should have been angry at his betrayal. Because He stopped, the words catching in his throat. "Because what?" "Because I've fallen for you," he said quietly. "And I value your pain more than any revenge. Your husband made desperate choices that cost my brother his life. But punishing you for his sins would make me just another monster. And I'm tired of being that." Regina stared at him, tears still streaming. "I don't deserve your forgiveness. Neither of us deserves anything we've been given. But we're here. Together, 2 people destroyed by the same man's desperation, trying to build something from the wreckage." She pressed her forehead against his chest. "I don't know how to let go of him." "Then don't. Mourn who you thought he was. Be angry at who he actually was. Both things can be true." Lee Pio held her tighter. "But don't let his ghosts define your future. He took enough. Don't let him take you too." They stayed like that as afternoon light faded to evening, 2 people bound by blood and betrayal, learning that sometimes love means holding someone while their whole world burns. The private shooting range in Lee Pio's compound was underground, soundproofed, pristine. Regina stood at the line, gun heavy in her hands, while Lee Pio positioned himself behind her. "You already know how to shoot," he said, his breath warm against her ear. "But you're aiming like you're afraid of what you'll hit." "I'm afraid." "Good. Fear keeps you sharp, but don't let it make you hesitant." His hands covered hers, adjusting her grip. "You're not a victim anymore, Regina. Stop aiming like one." She fired. The target jerked, center mass, clean. "Better," Lee Pio murmured. Again, they spent mornings like this, shooting until her hands stopped shaking. Self-defense in the training room, where he taught her how to break holds, where to strike, how to use an opponent's weight against them. He never went easy on her, and she was grateful for it. "What made you choose this life?" she asked one afternoon, sprawled on the training mat after he'd swept her legs for the 5th time. Lee Pio offered his hand, pulled her up. "I didn't choose it. It chose me. My father's empire, his enemies, his debts, all inherited. By the time I realized I could walk away, I'd already become the thing everyone feared." "Do you regret it?" "Every day." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. And not at all. The evenings were softer. They'd gravitate to the kitchen, neutral territory where titles and blood didn't matter. Lee Pio would make his mother's kimchi jjigae, movements practiced and careful, while Regina made her grandmother's hotteok, the sweet pancakes she'd learned as a child. "My grandmother always said, food is how you say I love you, when words aren't enough," Regina said, flipping a pancake. "My mother said the same thing." Lee Pio tasted the stew, adjusted the seasoning. "She died when I was 12, cancer. I learned to cook so I could keep her alive somehow." Regina's throat tightened. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. She taught me that some things survive us. Recipes. Stories. The way we made people feel." He glanced at her. "What would you do if you could start over? Completely over. No past, no debts, no ghosts." Regina considered, stirring brown sugar into the pancake batter. "I'd open a small restaurant. Somewhere quiet. Cook for people who needed feeding. Maybe have a garden." She paused. "What about you?" "I'd find you sooner," Lee Pio said quietly. The kitchen fell silent, except for the simmer of the stew. Regina looked up, and the expression on his face stole her breath. Raw, vulnerable. Everything the Ghost King wasn't supposed to be. "Lee Pio, I know we shouldn't," he said, setting down his spoon. "I know this is complicated and dangerous, and probably the worst timing in the world." "Then why?" "Because I can't help it." He crossed to her, stopping close enough that she could feel the heat of him. "Because every morning I wake up grateful you're alive. Because when you smile, it's the first thing in 5 years that's made me want to build instead of destroy." Regina's heart hammered against her ribs. "This is a terrible idea." "The worst," he agreed. "We're both disasters. Completely. We should." He kissed her. Soft, hesitant, a question instead of a demand. His hand cupped her face like she was something precious, breakable, worth protecting. Regina melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt. 3 years of loneliness cracking open to let something warm and terrifying rush in. The kiss tasted like hope and kimchi, and the particular sweetness of two broken people choosing each other anyway. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Lee Pio pressed his forehead against hers. "Tell me this isn't just me," he whispered. "It's not just you." Regina's voice shook. "It's terrifying, and probably doomed, but it's not just you." "Good." He smiled. A real smile. The kind that reached his eyes and made him look younger. "Because I don't think I could let you go even if I tried." That night they ate dinner together at the small kitchen table, not the formal dining room. They laughed over burned pancakes and too spicy stew. They told stories about their grandmothers, their childhoods, the people they'd been before the world broke them. For the first time in years, Regina felt something other than survival. She felt joy, light, the possibility that maybe, just maybe, happiness wasn't something other people had. It was something she could reach for too. She should have known it wouldn't last. Happiness in tragedy always has a cost. And theirs was coming due. They found love in the ruins of violence. Do you think fate will let them keep it, or will it demand a sacrifice? Tell me in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed, because what comes next changes everything. The call came during breakfast. Lee Pio's phone buzzed, an unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. "Mr. Lee," a smooth voice said. "My name is Kang. I believe we have mutual interests to discuss." Lee Pio's expression hardened. He put the phone on speaker. "I'm listening. I'm downstairs. With a gift for Regina. I think she'll want to see this." Regina's blood turned to ice. 10 minutes later, they stood in the compound's entrance hall. Lee Pio's men had weapons drawn, forming a protective semicircle. Mr. Kang stood in the center, middle-aged, expensive suit, smile that didn't reach his eyes. Behind him, 2 men pushed a wheelchair. Regina's world stopped. The girl in the wheelchair was 23 now, thinner than Regina remembered. An IV line taped to her arm. Her hair had grown long. Her face was hollow, aged beyond her years. But it was her. It was her baby sister. "Yuna," Regina breathed. Yuna looked up. Their eyes met, and the first word out of Yuna's mouth was, "Why?" Not "you're alive." Not "I missed you." Just "why?" Regina took a step forward. "Yuna, I can explain." "Explain what?" Yuna's voice cracked, sharp, with 3 years of grief turned to rage. Explain why you let me think you were dead. Why I spoke at your funeral. Why I told everyone how much I loved you. How I wished I'd been a better sister. How I'd give anything to have you back. Tears streamed down Regina's face. I was protecting you. By breaking me? Yuna's laugh was bitter, broken. I tried to kill myself when you died. Twice. Did you know that? Did you even think about what your fake death would do to me? Regina's knees nearly gave out. Yuna, no. The first time was pills. They pumped my stomach. The second time I stepped in front of a car. I was in the hospital for 2 months. Yuna's hands trembled on the wheelchair arms. I was alone. Completely alone. And you were alive, 20 minutes away, working in restaurants while I was mourning a ghost. I thought if they knew you were connected to me, they'd hurt you. So you chose to hurt me instead. Yuna's voice rose. You chose lies over trust. You decided I was better off thinking you were dead. Mr. Kang stepped forward, his smile widening. Touching reunion, but let me add some context. He looked at Regina. Your sister's medical bills, the leukemia treatments, the experimental therapy that put her in remission. Do you know what that cost? Regina's stomach dropped. 300 million won over 3 years, Mr. Kang continued. You sent what you could, maybe 10 million total. Admirable, but woefully insufficient. No, Regina whispered. I paid the rest. Every hospital visit, every medication, every doctor who saw her. His eyes glinted. I kept your sister alive, Regina. While you played dead, I made sure she kept breathing. Yuna stared at Regina, horror dawning. What is he talking about? Your sister owes me, Mr. Kang said simply. 300 million won, or 3 years of her life, working off the debt. Services to be determined by me. You used her. Regina's voice shook with rage. You kept her alive to control me. I kept her alive because assets should be maintained. Mr. Kang shrugged. Now I'm calling in the debt. 300 million won by next week, or you come work for me. 3 years, no questions, no refusals. Lee Pio's gun was out before Regina could blink. Get out of my house. Gladly, but the debt remains. Mr. Kang gestured to his men. Oh, and Regina, your sister's next treatment cycle starts in 2 weeks. Without my funding, the hospital will discontinue care. Choose wisely. They left. Yuna's wheelchair disappeared through the entrance, and she didn't look back. Regina stood frozen, trembling. She hates me, Regina. Lee Pio reached for her. She tried to kill herself. Twice. Because of me. Because I chose protection over truth, and I... Her voice broke. I destroyed her trying to save her. Her legs gave out. Lee Pio caught her before she hit the floor, pulled her against his chest. And for the first time since her husband died, Regina sobbed. Not silently, not hidden in bathrooms or behind closed doors. She sobbed loud and broken and raw. 3 years of grief and guilt and loss, pouring out in waves that racked her entire body. I ruined her, she gasped between sobs. I tried to save her, and I ruined her. Lee Pio held her tighter. We'll fix this. Whatever it takes, we'll fix this. But even as he said it, they both knew. Some things, once broken, never fit back together the same way. And Regina's sister was one of them. The compound erupted in gunfire just after midnight. Lopez's cartel breached the eastern wall while inside, 3 of Lee Pio's own men turned their weapons on their brothers. Regina barely had time to register the chaos before Lee Pio pulled her behind a concrete barrier, his body a shield between her and the bullets tearing through the air. Stay close, he commanded, but she was already reaching for the gun he'd taught her to use. They fought side by side, moving with an unspoken synchronicity born from weeks of stolen moments and dangerous truths. Then her phone buzzed. A video call from an unknown number. Mr. Kang's face filled the screen, and behind him, through a hospital window, she could see her sister's room. Abandon him, Regina. Walk away now, or I disconnect every machine keeping her alive. Before she could respond, Lopez appeared in the courtyard, bloodied and limping, a detonator clutched in his hand. Kill her, Lee Pio. Kill the woman, and I let everyone else walk out of here. The world narrowed to impossible choices. 2 men. 2 ultimatums. 2 people she loved hanging in the balance. Lee Pio lowered his weapon toward Lopez, but his finger didn't move to the trigger. Your brother died because I believed justice was mine to deliver. I was wrong. That cruelty, I'm sorry for it. But this ends now. The shot was clean. Merciful. Lopez collapsed, and the detonator clattered harmlessly to the ground. Regina turned to the phone, to Mr. Kang's expectant face. Her hands trembled, but her voice didn't. Pull the plug. My sister will survive, or she won't, but I won't be your slave anymore. The silence that followed felt like falling. Li Pio's forces crashed through the remaining resistance. Mr. Kang's image flickered as alarm sounded behind him. "This isn't over," he hissed before the screen went dark. In the settling smoke, Li Pio turned to her. Blood streaked his face. 47 people. Regina. 47 murders before I ever met you. That darkness, it's still in me. She stepped closer, cupping his face with shaking hands. "I see you, all of you." Her voice cracked. "And I'm still here." The restaurant was small, 6 tables, a view of the ocean, a hand-painted sign that read Minjun's Kitchen in Korean and English. Li Pio had sold everything, his empire, his compound, his name. He'd negotiated with rivals and enemies alike, trading territory and power for 2 things: guaranteed protection for Regina and cutting-edge experimental treatment for Yuna, delivered by doctors with no ties to the underworld. The cost had been everything he'd built. The reward was waking up without blood on his hands. Regina worked the front, taking orders, serving tea. Li Pio cooked in the back, his mother's recipes mixed with Regina's grandmother's, creating something new from old grief. They'd been open for 3 months when Yuna finally came. She arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, walking now, slowly, with a cane, but walking. No wheelchair. No IV. The experimental treatment was working. Regina's hands trembled when she saw her sister in the doorway. Yuna sat at the counter. Didn't speak. Just stared at the menu for a long moment, then said, "Tea. Green." Regina prepared it with shaking hands, set it down carefully. 10 minutes passed in silence. Then Yuna said, her voice barely audible, "Teach me the pancakes." Regina's breath caught. "What?" "The hadiak. Grandmother's recipe. You said you'd teach me when I was old enough." Yuna looked up, eyes red-rimmed. "I'm old enough now." Tears blurred Regina's vision. She nodded, not trusting her voice, and went to get an apron. Her hands shook so badly tying it around Yuna's waist that her sister had to help. Their fingers touched, and for a moment, just a moment, Yuna didn't pull away. Li Pio emerged from the kitchen, drawn by the quiet. He watched them work. Regina showing Yuna how to mix the dough, the exact ratio of brown sugar and cinnamon, the way to fold the filling so it didn't leak. He smiled, a real smile, the kind that reached his eyes and made him look like someone who'd found peace instead of just survived war. They cooked together, 3 people learning to be a family in the ruins of what they'd lost. Finally, as Yuna flipped her first pancake, slightly burned, imperfect, beautiful, she said, voice cracking, "I'm not ready to forgive you, but I'm ready to try." Regina nodded, tears falling into the batter she was mixing. "That's enough. That's more than enough." "I'm still angry," Yuna continued. "I'm still hurt. You broke something in me that might never fully heal." "I know, but you're my sister. And you're here now. And maybe," Yuna's voice broke, "maybe that's where we start." They hugged over the hot griddle, awkward and incomplete, but real. That evening, after Yuna left and the last customers paid their bills, Regina locked the front door. An envelope had been slipped under it at some point during the day. Inside, a photograph of her and Li Pio through the restaurant window, taken yesterday. On the back, written in elegant script, "Congratulations on your new life. I'm still here. Always." Manus L. Regina showed Li Pio. He studied it, jaw tight. "Think she'll ever stop?" he asked quietly. "No." Regina took his hand. "But we stopped running." "That's enough." They checked the street. Old habits die hard. Locked the door with 3 separate bolts. Li Pio set the alarm. Regina drew the curtains. Then they walked upstairs to the small apartment above the restaurant, hand in hand. The nightmares would still come. Yuna's anger would flare up. Lopez's threats would continue. Mr. Kang was still out there somewhere, planning his revenge. But tonight, they had each other. They had a sister learning to forgive. They had a restaurant named for a boy who deserved to be remembered with joy instead of grief. They had survived. And sometimes, survival is the bravest happy ending you can write. Li Pio pulled Regina close as they reached their door. No regrets? She thought about the wedding, the gunshot, the chaos that followed. All the pain and fear and blood. "No regrets," she said. "You? Not a single one." They went inside together, locked the door behind them, and chose, once again, to keep living despite everything that said they shouldn't. Outside, the ocean whispered against the shore. Inside, 2 broken people built something whole. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, and that was enough. Somewhere, someone saw the restaurant sign and remembered a debt that was never paid. Something they never expected is coming. They built a quiet life from the wreckage of violence. Do you believe the past will let them keep it, or will it come knocking again? Tell me in the comments, and if this story stayed with you, subscribe for the next one.